introduced to the world, poems that God has put on your heart. They're poems with a purpose.
Yes.
Where did you come up with this idea about writing these?
Where did I come up? Well, God put them in my heart originally when whatever was going on. Just like he did that just recently for something. And so I don't argue with him. I just go write it down right then.
The tapestry. You mentioned the word tapestry in this book multiple times. What's the story behind that?
Well, the story is that years ago, I learned that Carly Ten Boom talked about the tapestry. That we see all of the knots and we see all of the stuff underneath it. But we don't see what God sees. He sees the whole tapestry finished and done. And so we don't, those knots and all our problems or whatever we're going through or learning, like I had to learn, that I was going to not be in charge and that kind of stuff.
Isn't it funny how when God sets you on a path to do something, all the doors open up for it and it's as smooth? And I mean, really, when it came to putting this together, obviously you had no idea within the process of what it was going to take.
No.
But as you've gone through it and as you started to put the pieces together, I wanted to get your comments, because there are those who are going to be watching this video who have not seen the book yet, and then there are those who've already read the book, and now this is what they call commentary. It's like added bonus features or bonus material about this book. And I have to ask you about the afterthoughts related to Macau. Tell me about this poem.
About Macau?
Uh-huh.
Macau I went because we were taking the children. We were taking 10 children across the water. We had never done that before. And Bill Santo and I and a friend of ours went. But we took them and it was wonderful. But we had to learn, I went to do conversational English and to teach them conversational English. So for an assignment beforehand, I asked everybody to make a book of what they did. Like what all their family members and their whatever, their dogs, which are none over in Macau, and that kind of thing. And so we did that. Well, we went, the first lesson was about our family relationship. You have to understand that most of those children had learned to just speak a little English and were doing very well. But it's the first time in my life that I've ever had a beautiful 10-year-old boy with beautiful black eyes say, "I don't believe in Jesus. I believe in Buddha." And I about dropped my teeth. But we taught him a little bit about the families, and because of teaching them about the families, we talked about brothers and sisters. See, they have specific grandmothers and specific words for all of that. It's your maternal grandmother or your paternal well, we don't have that. We just say grandmother and grandfather. We don't have those kind of things. But they began to understand what an uncle and an aunt was. As a matter of fact, this little boy that was black eyes, he said, "Okay, Auntie Bill," when he's not an auntie, and they knew he wasn't an auntie, but it got to be a joke. And they have a good sense of humor. You have to be able to roll with the flow, and that's kind of where we ended up going. Do you want me to talk some more about that? Well, I can tell you a little more about it if you want to.
Keep rolling.
Well, you know, in China, all of the things are on floors. You may go to this floor and it may be rugs, and you may go to this floor and it may be trinkets. You may go to this floor and it'll be food. I mean, you never know what you're going to go see. Well, the church that we went to was on the 3rd floor. And we went up to that floor, and that's where we had all the activities that we had. My son went, Rhett, and he did all the activities with art and that kind of stuff for them. But the older kids, the oldest kids, I guess, were in another group, and they went to the other children, or they weren't children, they were teenagers, and they were taught a lot of things, but you had to learn so much before you took a test. You had to learn it to take the test. If you fail the test, you get one more time to take it. If you fail it again, then you can forget it. You're out on the street. You have to figure out what you're going to do. So needless to say, they were real uptight people. And my group helped them to learn their things that they needed to learn. Well, the Adventure Cube was in Dominica more than anywhere else. We used the Adventure Cube, but we used it in Dominica, and that was a precious, precious time. In Dominica, we went to a mountain area, and they were going to put a church on that mountain area eventually. And because we led the Lord with all of them, I used the Evangel Cube to teach it to them. Well, I've talked to this one boy. He was probably 11, 12, somewhere in there, and he really understood it. But I went through it very carefully, and he said, "You know, I want to be a Christian more than anything." And so he said, "Do you care if I go get my friends?" I said, "No, I don't." So he went to get all of his friends, a whole bunch of friends, and he said, "Well, tell them about the Adventure Cube." And I said, "Well, do you want to tell them about the Adventure Cube?" And they said, "Yes." And so he said he did the Adventure Cube, and his friend accepted the Lord. And this went on. I mean, it was like an outpouring of the Lord's Spirit, because he did touch lives. I wasn't the only one having that experience. There were other people having that experience with teenagers or with adults or whatever. So I will tell you that they eventually built 3 churches, but I was very careful. There was a preacher there, and I said, "We've got to have somebody that they can come to and know what to do." And he said, "You do not worry about that. They will be able to come to me anytime they want to." Well, they ended up building 3 churches. They've done all kinds of stuff there. But, you know, there was a tornado there, and it tore all of that down. But you know, those boys told me when they left, when we left, they said, "Oh, well, are you coming back?" And I said, "I can't come back. I won't be able to come back." They said, "That's all right. We'll see you in heaven." And they told me goodbye. Isn't that precious? I just want to cry when I hear that story. But anyway, that's true.
Gordon who?
Yes, he's so wonderful. He came to our, he dressed up like Santa Claus. He came to our class when I had the special class. My philosophy is that anybody can learn. It doesn't matter who you are, you can learn. To keep me in the school, my principal decided that I should take the CDC class, which was, they weren't supposed to learn anything. You got that? You understand that? Okay. Well, unfortunately, they did. But Gordon came many times. He would come and talk to them, and he always gave them presents and did all kinds of things for them that we cannot talk about. I mean, he made them balloons and fixed them up with balloons and did all kinds of things. Just precious things. That's where my blind child learned to play the piano. We called him Stevie Wonder, because he couldn't see squat doodle. He couldn't speak. But that child could play the piano. And that's what he did all the rest of his life.
Let's talk about obedience.
Obedience. How did I come up with obedience? Because if you can't be obedient to your parents or to some authority, you can't be obedient to the Lord. What else can I say?
In your book, you have a cute replica of a mat to Patsy and Eddie in August 1975. A small remembrance from Disney World. Wish you could have been with us. Love, Mom and Dad. It says, those who bring sunshine to the lives of others cannot keep it from themselves. Why did you include this in the book?
Because it was from my mother, because it's so special, and because that is true. You cannot make other people happy without becoming happy yourself. You cannot make other people happy without being happy yourself. And that's what that says. So that's why I included it. Because one day, there was someone who I met on the street, and I thought, well, she doesn't look like anything, and she's probably a bag lady or something like that. But, God kept saying, well, talk to her, visit with her, or do something with her, or do. And because of that, I wrote that poem, because you never know who is going to accept the Lord. And God wants everybody to. God was here for a reason. He died on the cross for all of us. All. You heard that. All of us. And it's real hard to pray for all of us sometimes, but it's for all of us. Even the lady on the street, even somebody that you meet and you think, well, you sure do look different from me, and you sure do act different from me, but does that matter? Does it matter? It doesn't. Nothing matters to God except your heart.
You have a lot of poems in here about your family.
Oh, yes.
Sons, 3 sons, 6 grandbabies. What would you like them to get out of this book?
Oh, I don't know. I just want them to love the Lord, and they do. And I want them to know that they are loved. And they are loved a lot by the Lord. And they're going to go through trials. Who knows what they're going to go through. But they will know without a shadow of a doubt that they have someone who loves them. most of them will have more than just one, but you know, I may be gone, Eddie may be gone, their dad may be gone, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that they have someone that loves them and loves them enough that he gave his life for them. What else can I say?
Finally, now that you are an author, a published author, you also have an idea for another book.
Yes, I do.
Talk a little bit about that book and what it's about.
Well, eventually I'm going to do a book about our 53 years of marriage and talk about how it all started and how God had his hand in everything. For example, at the very beginning, my husband had been interviewed and had signed a contract to go to Cobb County. Well, the further he got to Cobb County, the more he realized he was getting away from his daddy. And he thought, well, I'm going to turn around and go back to Memphis and see if they have a job opening. Well, isn't it funny that they did? Isn't it funny? It was at the same school that I was in. That'll just give you a little idea about how we plan to, I plan to do that.
How many years again?
53. It'll be 53 in June. And this is March, so